the municipal election will move from October 2nd to October 8th.
The City of St. John's is delaying the municipal election by nearly a week because of disruptions with the Postal Service strike. And we'll have all the latest promises from party leaders as they continue on the campaign trail for the provincial election.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We begin tonight in St. John's. City Hall is rescheduling the municipal election. It will now happen Wednesday, October 8th. It's because the Canada Post strike has disrupted mail-in ballots. The city says the date change is necessary to protect the integrity of the election, and there's no word yet if there will be other impacts to other municipal elections.
So earlier today, we worked with Cup W Local 126 and Canada Post to recover ballots that were being held at postal facilities. We thank both the Union and Canada Post for accommodating our request. While that cooperation was very important, it's also important to note that some ballots are still in the postal system and will not be reaching us by Election Day. With those ballots now in our possession, we have approximately 16,000 completed vote-by-mail kits, which were delivered to us through drop boxes and the mail. This is about 50% of what was returned in the last election. To give residents the time and access they need to vote, the municipal election will move from October 2nd to October 8th. This extra time will allow us to secure additional resources to support in-person voting and to launch new tools that will help residents confirm the status of their vote-by-mail kits. In the coming days, the city will launch a new ballot status lookup portal. This tool will let residents confirm whether their mailed ballot has been received by the city. For those without internet access, help will also be available by calling 311 or emailing access@stjohns.ca. For those residents whose ballots are not received, there are two options. You can vote in person on October 8th at your designated ward voting center between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., or you can request a replacement kit in advance of Election Day by contacting 311 or emailing election@stjohns.ca.
And just a note about timing here, the new date for the St. John's municipal election means voting day will now fall the day after the advanced voting date for the provincial election on October 8th. Now, staying with the provincial election, the NDP announced today it would double the province's first-time home buyers incentive, which is currently valued at $1,500. And NDP leader Jim Dinn says if elected, his government would increase it to $3,000.
So when people aren't able to enter the market, it means fewer students are able to stay in this province and start a family, especially if you're coming out of university or secondary education with a huge debt. It means fewer people are choosing this province as their home, and we definitely need more young people to stay here and make this their home. It means seniors are looking to downsize and unable to afford it, and that's a very clear reality for many.
Now to the PCs, they announced some road safety measures in Pasadena today. If elected, the party promises to increase moose fencing to improve roads and to bring back 24-hour snow clearing, which was a service cut by the province in 2016.
It's so needed in our area. We had it before. It was removed by the Liberal government, and for Tony to come out and make this announcement today, well, one, it'll make our traveling public a lot safer during the winter. We have a lot of snow, a lot of storms that run through this area. And to have this plows out so families can get home, whether it's Springdale or Rocky Harbour or Stephenville from Deer Lake area, it's so important this is done.
And the PCs spent some time campaigning in Labrador over the weekend. A stop in Happy Valley Goose Bay on Saturday turned emotional when residents shared their stories. Here Now's Henrika Wilhelm reports.
Not Tony Wakeham, but these residents and their passionate plea for help took the spotlight at a PC announcement on public safety.
I know how hard it is to get out of addiction in here, you know. It's on every corner, no matter where you go in this town.
They came to listen and to speak about a town that doesn't feel safe, struggling with mental health and addictions with no help in sight.
The government should be stepping up and doing more. But you know, there's just nothing here. There's nothing being given back to Labrador, and it's about time that we get it. You know, they take enough resources out of Labrador, give it back. Give something back.
Ford wasn't the only one airing his feelings.
We also have to feel for those people. They are people.
They all want action from the next government, including more policing, rehabilitation programs, and addiction services.
We need longer programs. There's no detox here. There's nothing. And when you get off the plane, there's no support. We had no groups. And when you try to run a group here in Goose Bay, you got drug dealers coming in and shutting them down.
Wakeham said Saturday he is listening.
We will have a standalone public safety plan for Labrador, and in particular, right here in Happy Valley, Goose Bay.
Tied to an investment of $3 million, he said. However, he wouldn't commit to anything specific.
That's exactly why I came here today, to make this announcement and talk about working with community leaders and groups right here, because this is not a plan that I will design. This is a plan that they will design.
Giving people a voice, two of Wakeham's candidates say it's needed across all Labrador districts.
What you witnessed here today at our event was simply a bubbling over of emotion, and people are tired. We're not being heard in our communities with our struggles. We don't feel we have any representation in that house.
In my district, our communities are really struggling, and they are actually seeing me raise the issues, fight for them, but nothing is being done.
Residents at the meeting here said their concerns have been ignored for too long. And while they were happy that Wakeham came to listen to their concerns, they said if elected, he would have to follow his words with action. Henrike Wilhelm, CBC News, Happy Valley, Goose Bay.
And the PC's made other announcements on the weekend in Labrador. Wakeham visited Lab West to announce that his government would invest $26 million to build communities for seniors. And that was part of several promises Wakeham made related to health care. He reiterated his promise to eliminate medical travel costs for all residents of the province, and also committed to installing a new MRI machine in Labrador and creating a new Labrador Regional Health Council. Well, now to some promises from the Liberal campaign. A new Crown corporation, more support for nurses in training, and a stronger focus on solving the nursing shortage in rural areas of the province. That was the theme from the party today while campaigning in the district of St. Barb, Lanza Meadows. But as Here Now Terry Roberts reports, not everything went according to plan.
The Liberals were campaigning on the Northern Peninsula on Monday, in a district the party is confident of holding in next month's election. But in addition to another healthcare announcement, there was also a tense moment involving an angry resident.
By early afternoon, it was a typical day on the campaign trail. Another healthcare announcement.
So that is why a re-elected Liberal government will create a dedicated Crown corporation tasked with health professional recruitment, retention, and workforce planning.
Much action, everyone's busy today.
But things started with a few bumps. The leader spent the morning campaigning in the Plum Point, Brig Bay area. The large Liberal bus lumbering through the quiet and narrow roads of a region that has struggled for years with out-migration and a boom and bust fishing industry. Very few campaign signs, and it was a clumsy start with wrong turns, politically disinterested residents.
Anything else you want to chat about? No, not really. No?
And at this stop, a camera-shy but vocal resident who challenged the Premier on the merits of the Churchill Falls MOU. This retired teacher and cancer patient voiced his concerns about the healthcare system.
That's one. Yeah, so you know we're working on that. She's doing a great job. More surgeries, right? More cancer surgeries, more orthopedic surgeries.
And more cardiac. We've done a lot of work with the cardiac program.
But a routine morning on the hustings became tense when this man pulled up. He accused the Liberals of using his image in campaign material without his permission. There's a police officer dressed in civilian clothing assigned to the Liberal leader. He's normally in the background, but he was forced to intervene when voices got loud and fingers started pointing.
Nobody's talking to you. This was about her, okay?
But these are the images the Liberals would rather project. The leader and his cabinet minister candidate promising a shake-up in the way healthcare professionals are recruited and retained. This time, more bureaucracy.
I think that NLHS should focus on delivering health care and issues like working out recruitment and retention, seeing where the needs are should be separated from that so they can focus on delivering health care.
The recruiting team at the Health Authority and within the Healthcare Department will be folded into the new Crown agency.
Where did this idea come from? Was this in the health Accord, or whose idea was this?
So this is something that struck me when I was in the department about focusing on recruitment and retention, and certainly conversations that Minister Howell and I have had over the last number of months.
So this is your idea, not the Health Accord or Pat Parfrey or anything like that?
Look, I do have my own ideas.
Hogan also announced that a new Liberal government, if re-elected, will pay the tuition costs for nurses doing on-the-job training courses. And in a further effort to phase out private agency nurses, the Liberals are promising a permanent travel locum program to help fill the nursing gap in rural areas. In all, $4 million in new healthcare spending.
I've always been a homebody.
This RN recently moved to the Northern Peninsula after 9 years in St. John's. She likes what she heard from the Liberals, especially the locum program.
I think that would be an incentive for people who are from bigger centres and would want to try what it's like to live in a small town. That would be an easy way to get people to come here. And a little bit of a, I guess, recruitment bonus if you can get people to come here and they want to stay.
There will be no cuts to the health budget in Newfoundland and Labrador for any amount of time that I'm Premier of this province.
These politicians are now at the halfway mark of the campaign, and questions about health care continue to dominate. Terry Roberts, CBC News, Port Saunders.
Now, the CBC has received a statement from the Liberals following today's incident with a resident in Brigg Bay. The Liberals say the photo the resident complained about was featured 3 years ago in MHA Crystalline Howell's newsletter and has no connection to the current campaign. The Liberals say those in the photo gave verbal consent for use of that photo. Now, still with the provincial election, the district of St. John's Centre has been held by the NDP since 2019. Liberal candidate Gemma Hickey and PC newcomer Ben Duggan are challenging the NDP's leader for that seat. Abby Cole reports.
Affordability, housing, addictions, and public safety. Those are the issues that provincial election candidates say they're hearing at the doors here on Livingstone Street in the St. John Centre district.
Liberal candidate Gemma Hickey says the district is in crisis. They say drug use is rampant, crime is on the rise, and people don't feel safe.
This is one of the pathways in the city that's overgrown. The lights are out. People are doing drugs here. And, the city needs to do better, okay? Because this is completely unacceptable. Seniors are feeling vulnerable. They're afraid to go out at night. Young people are having a hard time with their children. They don't want to let them out to play because they're scared. So there's this feeling of fear, that I'm hearing on the doors.
If elected, Hickey says they want to address all of these issues by having a district office in the area and by coordinating responses between all levels of government and community organizations.
We need to be compassionate, but also property owners have rights. And as an advocate with proven track record of results, I know I can get people the help they need. I want to bring back some life into this district.
Progressive Conservative candidate Ben Duggan declined CBC's request for an interview. Meanwhile, the NDP have held the St. John Centre seat since 2011, with Jim Dinn as leader since 2019. He says that's because the party's platform resonates with residents by prioritizing what he calls the ordinary person.
Whether they're at the margins, whether they're low income, whether they're middle class or whatever, they know that we stand for them, make sure that we don't answer to corporate donors.
Dinn says he wants to create more housing, address affordability, and improve access to health care.
It comes back to safe, affordable, and supportive housing. That has been an issue, and yet we see down there, I can tell you on Livingston Street, a total neglect by the NLHC of the houses there. We see them when they tear houses down, they don't bother to rebuild or provide the resources to do so. Instead, they sell them off to a private developer.
Residents of Livingstone Street will head to the polls on October 14th, where they'll decide whether they'll keep the NDP or pick the Liberals or PCs to represent them instead. Abby Cole, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, today felt very fall-like thanks to some wind, also some showers on the go this afternoon, and we're going to continue to see this pattern as we head through the next couple of days. Anyway, that means things are going to be much cooler than what we saw today. Those showers will continue for the most part tonight. Most of us will see some shower activity through the day tomorrow as well. Eventually, we will see a warm-up, but it'll come late week. We still have some unsettled weather to get through. I'll break it all down for you coming up a little later.
Healthcare is top of mind for many people during this provincial election, and one St. John's man says where parties stand on the federal pharmacare program could sway his vote. Elizabeth Whitten has that story.
Newfoundland and Labrador is in full election mode. And when it comes to how this man might cast his ballot in the upcoming provincial election, Bill Hines says he's keeping an eye on one issue: the federal pharmacare program. It currently covers the cost of contraception and diabetes medication. But not many provinces have signed on, including this one. Hines has been keeping a close eye on it. He and his wife are both diabetic, but he says they can well afford the costs.
I won't starve if it don't come through.
but there's not a lot of people around not as good well off as I am. You know, I'm one of the fortunate ones. But it just bothered me a lot, that's all, and I don't like it.
He's worried about people who are living on fixed incomes who are struggling, especially as the cost of essentials like housing and groceries continue to rise. That's why he's speaking out.
So I'm hoping this is going to push the politicians to take another look at this, you know. If they can come out with a real good reason why they don't want to do it, I'll accept that. But I can't see any good reasons.
CBC News caught up with the party leaders on the campaign trail to put the question to them. Would they sign on to the federal pharmacare program? 2 of the party leaders gave an emphatic yes to signing on.
Din says an NDP government would sign on, and it would have been a godsend for people struggling to afford diabetes medication.
It mystifies us, it absolutely mystifies us why our provincial government did not sign on to that.
Liberal leader John Hogan says the Liberal government didn't sign on earlier over questions around funding, which he says have been resolved.
As Premier, I want to make sure that we do get our fair share of that pharmacare money.
PC leader Tony Wakeham didn't exactly embrace signing on to the program, but said he'd consider it.
I think any time that you can take advantage of programs that are out there and things that can help people, then we ought to be looking at it and find a way. But certainly something I'd certainly look at.
Hines, however, is a bit skeptical about what politicians will say while on the campaign trail.
There's an election. They'll tell you anything.
He's encouraging people to bring up the issue when they come across candidates looking for their vote. Elizabeth Witten, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, ahead of Truth and Reconciliation Day tomorrow, the group First Light is calling on political parties to support its Indigenous-led clinic in St. John's, which will incorporate cultural practices.
Together, we are building something historic. The first Indigenous-led health clinic right here in St. John's, serving this city and the surrounding areas. The need is urgent. More than 7,000 Indigenous people in St. John's and surrounding areas. Over 1,300 of them have no family doctor. We have been researching, co-designing, and building this clinic since 2018. We are not asking if the need exists. We are asking why it has not been met. This is reconciliation in action.
What we really need is political support for this clinic to be fully successful. We are building the infrastructure, we're delivering the wraparound services. We are going to be going ahead with the clinic no matter what, because there's a dire need in our community, as Stacey already outlined. What we really hope is all candidates in the St. John's area and party leaders can get behind this idea of an urban Indigenous health clinic, particularly because all of the promises that are being made around healthcare and other areas, this is a commitment that would actually save the province money.
In the urban area right now, we have a collaborative clinic service model throughout all areas of St. John's, multiple clinics running in that kind of circular model. We're hoping that this clinic will be a part of that collaborative clinic as well. So have access to the same supports through NL Health services as the rest of the clinics, same access to family doctors, access to platforms of collaboration of communication across streams is the idea.
Hopefully by the next National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, September 30th, we will be opening our doors to community.
I believe we're here at the end of September, and it feels like it's been a pretty dry month.
It certainly has. It has been dry. I think this has essentially just been all we've been talking about is the lack of rain across the province, and in St. John's, absolutely the case. Take a look at these numbers for September so far. We've got one more day of September, but we've only seen 36.3 millimeters of rain. Typically, we would see that's supposed to be 128, but typically we would see 128 millimeters of rain for the month of September. And the record is, the record low anyway, is 30.6 or 30.4 rather. So we are not far from the record, but that was back in 1942. And as we take a look at the amount of rain expected as we head through Saturday, there isn't a whole lot in the forecast, at least not that soaking rain. Now, we may see some showers here and there, but it does look like it's only about a trace to maybe 5 millimeters for the St. John's area anyway. There are some areas that may see a little bit more than that, but it is not helping the drought situation, that's for sure. But as we turn a corner to October rather, we should get some solid numbers from other places around the province. So I'll certainly keep you posted on that. But yes, lots of us are in the drought conditions, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. Taking a look at what's happening right now, very fall-like out there with those winds gusting around 48 kilometers per hour, temperature around 14 degrees. You know, around where we should be sitting this time of year, but taking a look at the gusts pretty much everywhere else, anywhere from 30 to as much as 60 kilometer per hour wind gusts, and that's all thanks to an area of low pressure that is offshore finally departing. But we are seeing some of those breezy conditions with it. As that low continues to move off, we'll see a ridge of high pressure move in, and things are going to turn to a more northerly flow. So the temperatures that we were seeing today, we're going to say goodbye to them for a little while because we will be firmly into the single digits for a lot of areas. We're there right now. Twillingate 7 degrees, up across Labrador, chilly 2 degrees in Benkovic. And those temperatures, if you're away from that onshore flow though, much different story. So we're still seeing those westerly winds in St. John's. So that's why temperatures are around 14 degrees. But once they shift more northerly, we will certainly see a drop in those temperatures. Looking at a few showers now for the northern peninsula through parts of central and along the northeast coast. That will generally continue as we head through tonight, as we see again that more northerly flow. And we'll see that on the future tracker here. Most of the south coast, southern areas of Newfoundland, as well as the Avalon, should actually see fairly dry conditions. We'll see the chance of some showers as we head towards the morning hours for you. And then coastal areas of Labrador. Temperatures at 2 degrees right now. There's certainly a risk of some flurries through the overnight and at least through the first part of tomorrow. Temperatures will likely dip below zero around Happy Valley, Goose Bay or the Upper Lake Melville area. And then across the island, we're looking at temperatures ranging from about 3 degrees for the northern peninsula to anywhere from the single digits through central, and the southern areas of the island will sit around 10 degrees for your overnight lows. Into tomorrow, again, unsettled conditions. We will see some sunshine develop, though, for the north coast of the Big Land and through the Upper Lake Melville area. Really anywhere in central Labrador we'll see some sunshine. We'll see some showers, though, and maybe even some flurries again for the west, for the coast, rather, of Labrador. And the west, you're looking at some showers. Most of us across the island will be dealing with some shower activity tomorrow. We'll eventually start to see some clearing for the west and through central by the time we get to the supper hour. It'll take a lot longer for the Avalon to clear out, but that will eventually happen through the overnight. Here's your daytime highs. Onshore flow or northwesterly flow will keep those temperatures in the single digits, just barely above that, maybe 10 or 11 degrees. Much warmer, though, to the south. 13 to 14 degrees is your daytime highs. Single digits still the story for coastal areas of Labrador. Same thing for Lab West, but where that sun shines tomorrow across Labrador, your temperatures will be a little warmer, about 10 to 11 degrees. I'll have your long-range forecast coming up a little later.
Thank you, Ashley. Well, a 91-year-old man is dead after being hit by a car early this morning in Corner Brook. The incident happened around 12:30 a.m. The pedestrian was reportedly struck by a vehicle on O'Connell Drive Extension in the area of Georgetown Road. A 37-year-old man from Benoit's Cove was operating the vehicle, and he was arrested and charged with impaired driving causing death. His vehicle was seized and driver's license suspended. He's been held in custody to appear in provincial court. And in other news, Canada Post workers, as we've heard, have been on the picket line since Thursday. They walked out after government directed the Postal Service to make significant changes to how mail is delivered. I spoke with local union president Mike McDonald earlier today about where the situation stands 5 days into the strike.
Things are going slowly. Obviously, when Minister Lightbound came out and made his announcement, we were then waiting for an offer from the employer, which didn't materialize because of the announcement. So, things are a bit anxious on the picket line. We made a quick decision to come back out onto the line after the announcement was made, and we felt that it was a justifiable move with the types of cuts that Minister was putting forward. But as always, whenever you're in a strike situation, there's anxiety on the work or on the picket line, and there's a lot of uncertainty for people.
How much of a surprise was it to have the government weighed in on all of this when it did?
Not a big surprise for me. I've been an employee of Canada Post since 2006, and I have never seen a contract negotiations that hasn't been interfered with or hasn't had the government step in and either legislate us back or use 107 or 108 of the labor codes in order to obtain what they want. So I think that's probably the problem, and why we find ourselves in a problem we do is because we never really get a chance to resolve our situations at the table as two entities, because we have Canada Post in our employer's back pocket, and they're constantly there to pass legislation or use the labor code. So it kind of it eschews the conversation that we're able to have at a negotiating table.
The union and Canada Post seem just incredibly far apart on getting a deal. Where do you see this going?
Right now, I can kind of see us waiting for that offer to show up. They said that they were going to have one for us this week. So Parliament's not back in until Wednesday. Chances are we probably won't see anything from the employer until later in the week. And it's hard to say where we'll go from there. We really need to see what's in any offer that comes for us. But the parties are very far apart. I think what we need is the government to stop interfering, because that's why we're in the situation that we're in. We've gone through multiple rounds of negotiations where the government has stepped in and legislated us or used the labor code. And both parties never get an opportunity to actually have any closure in the process if someone's always interfering with the process. And so that's what we need. We need the government to back off and allow Canada Post to know that they don't have the government in their back pocket, and that they can't rely on them to essentially legislate us back or do whatever they're going to do with us.
autism spectrum disorder was thrust into the international spotlight last week. U.S. President Donald Trump and other officials are claiming the use of the over-the-counter painkiller acetaminophen during pregnancy is linked to autism. Health Canada has pushed back against that claim, saying there's no conclusive evidence to support that. At an autism symposium in St. John's over the weekend, one person with lived experience talked about the damaging effects misinformation can have on the community.
It's really difficult to hear that as misinformation. None of the research studies that have come out has shown causation. There might be correlation, but there's been multiple research studies on hypermobility in autistic women and chronic pain. So about 76% of autistic women also have chronic pain. They're going to have more pain in pregnancy, and they might want to take Tylenol for it. Like, that's a way more sensible explanation than taking Tylenol, right?
And so what kind of impact does that have on the autistic community, that misinformation is being platformed at such a large level?
It's really not good. The neurodiversity community and neurodiversity affirming community in Canada and the UK and Australia, you know, we've really switched the way we talk about these things, and that, like, I work from a neuroaffirming standpoint. All brains are good brains. This is my neurotype. When you have people like Donald Trump saying things like, oh, what a travesty, an autistic child, like, that's not accurate, you know, and it doesn't help break the stereotype of, you know, people thinking about Rain Man or Sheldon, you know, from Big Bang Theory as like the autistic stereotype, when, you know, if you know one person on the spectrum, you know one person on the spectrum. Like, we all look quite different.
Turning now to some other news, disc golf is growing in popularity, and over the weekend, players from across the province gathered in Corner Brook for the 4th annual Disc Golf Provincial Championship. The CBC's Alex Kennedy stopped by to check out the action.
The west coast of Newfoundland has become a hotbed for disc golf, and it's led disc golfers here to Corner Brook for the 4th annual provincial championships. It's a big step forward for the sport and the local association, with over 60 registered players in this tournament and hundreds of players playing on courses across Newfoundland.
Here we are in 2025, about 5 years after the first public course was installed in Stephenville, and it's just been great to see the way the sport has grown over the last 5 years. COVID was actually a boon time for disc golf. A lot of people looking for outdoor activities that they could do that socially distanced, and so a lot of other people felt the same way, and we kind of came together and have started growing the sport here in the province.
Well, we started to play this year, and we met some people from the community and who encouraged us that it's for all skill levels, and we enjoy the sport. We wanted to just get in touch with the community and play.
How about yourself, David? What have you found the most fun about disc golf?
Well, I love to throw frisbees, and in disc golf, that's basically all you're doing.
We've done a competitive event on all the courses that we have on the island right now. So kicked it off over on the west coast, Stephenville. Then we made our way central to Gander, an event in St. John's, and then the final one here in Corner Brook. It's been fantastic. It's steady going since the first year. We've just seen more and more folks come out, and not only just for the competitive events, but we're just seeing a lot of people on the course. The growth in the province has just been on a steady uprise, so we're hoping for more and more. Got a couple new projects kind of coming in this end of this year and in the new year, so hopefully we just keep on going.
Where do you think disc golf can go in Newfoundland and Labrador?
I mean, really, the sky's the limit. I mean, we have the natural resources that is the envy of the world. We have abundant, natural, interesting topography, interesting forests. It just takes government support, community support, volunteers willing to, you know, approach their local communities and say, we want to see disc golf in our area, and we can absolutely become a world-class level disc golf attraction for this sport.
Hollywood actor Josh Hartnett was sent to hospital after a collision with a police vehicle in St. John's last week. The actor is in the city filming a show for Netflix. A source at Netflix says the actor was traveling home from set when the vehicle he was riding in was hit by another vehicle. Hartnett was not the driver. He was a passenger in an SUV, and both him and the driver were sent to hospital following the crash at the intersection of New Cove Road and Elizabeth Avenue. A police officer also went to hospital. It's believed that everyone involved suffered minor injuries. The RNC is now looking for any witnesses or footage from the collision to support its investigation. Tuesday, tomorrow, is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, also known as Orange Shirt Day, which recognizes Indigenous children who were forced to attend residential schools. But as the orange shirts themselves gain in popularity, more designers and businesses are creating their own. And that's prompting the official Orange Shirt Society to act. Juanita Taylor reports.
They're online, in stores, and in schools. The Orange Shirt.
Orange Shirt Day, Every Child Matters, was created to honor survivors and their families and to remember those that never made it home.
Phyllis Webstad is the residential school survivor whose orange shirt was taken from her as a 6-year-old child, a gift from her grandmother for her first day of residential school at St. Joseph Mission in Williams Lake, BC. It's her story that is the origin of Orange Shirt Day.
My story was chosen to be the story to bring about change in Canada.
Now, thousands of Canadians wear orange shirts to mark the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation.
It hit social media and just blew up to become the Orange Shirt movement.
That movement has sparked interest by designers and companies to create their own shirts.
I once did a 10-minute search on the internet, and I found 10 countries selling Orange Shirt Day, Every Child Matters shirts.
But some companies have been selling shirts that don't meet criteria set out by the Orange Shirt Society.
It's maddening to see that happening.
Webstad says shirts must be orange and include the message, Every Child Matters. And the Society is now taking steps to stop appropriation.
The Orange Shirt Society applied for the trademark Every Child Matters in May of 2020. And we were successful.
Look at the intricate style of illustration.
Orange shirt sales at this store are going steady. Owner Janet Pacey collaborated with an Indigenous artist to create this year's shirt. But Pacey says she does it for the artist and the community, not for the sales.
It bothers me. There's people making money off of this. It's about honoring a group of people that deserves to be honored.
Webstad says stopping the appropriation will take time.
Guaranteed next year we will be out there and talking more about this.
Events will be held on Tuesday across the country to mark National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. No doubt in a sea of orange. Juanita Taylor, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Well, CBC News will bring you special coverage of Truth and Reconciliation Day, the events happening in Ottawa. Join Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault on Parliament Hill. That's starting at 3:30 p.m. Newfoundland time, 3 o'clock in parts of Labrador, and that's on CBC TV, GEM, or wherever you watch CBC News. And after that coverage, you can catch a special half-hour edition of Here and Now at 6:30 p.m. Newfoundland time. In other news, COVID vaccines are rolling out across the country right now, but this year, the provinces aren't all on the same page. Quebec and Alberta are now charging a fee for the shots. Christine Birak breaks down the cost and the risk of skipping it.
Made in Canada. For the first time, Moderna's COVID-19 shots and others are now rolling out. The question is, do you need one?
COVID-19 is not a thing of the past. It is an ongoing problem with ebbs and flows, but right now we're on the uptick.
Canada's independent vaccine panel recommends COVID shots for higher risk groups, including anyone over 65, pregnant, those over 6 months with underlying medical conditions, living in long-term care, or in underserved communities. Data shows updated COVID-19 vaccines offered up to 76% protection against hospitalization for up to 2 months.
You actually will get nice a fourfold increase in the antibody levels compared to if you didn't get this vaccine.
For most Canadians, COVID vaccines will be free, except in Alberta and Quebec, which plan to charge residents up to $180. Some pharmacists say offering free flu and COVID shots was a logical way to protect people.
Santé Québec has been talking about is let's go preventative, which I think is laudable. And yet now we're going backwards with COVID.
While Quebec still plans to cover all high-risk groups, Alberta says not everyone over 65 will be covered, and shots won't be offered in pharmacies, citing waste and cost.
It's just looking at that cost of the vaccine itself, but ignoring those long-term costs.
The average cost estimate of a COVID-19 hospital stay per patient is over $24,000. COVID ICU admissions run more than double that. These older adults in Edmonton want the vaccine.
I will go to Saskatchewan to visit family or BC to visit friends, and I will get the shot there.
A simple step to help stay out of hospital and on the court. Christine Burak, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, some changes are coming at WestJet. The airline is modifying the layout in some of its planes, including removing what some consider a comfort, others an irritant, the ability to recline your seat. Caroline Bargout has more on how that news is being received by travelers.
You pay extra to check your bags and pick your seat. But soon, on many WestJet flights, the ability to lean back won't come standard either.
Everything's about the dollar and everything is costly.
The airline says in an effort to offer affordable airfare, it's revamping 43 of its planes, introducing a new seat configuration. Many seats will no longer be able to recline, and there will be different amounts of space for different passengers. Those at the very back will get the least amount. In the middle, there's a little more, and for those in the front part, more yet. But to get more legroom and a reclining seat, travelers will have to choose WestJet's newly created extended comfort seating, or go premium. At Vancouver's International Airport, passengers are split on the plan. This exchange student traveled from France to Vancouver and likes the idea of not having someone reclining into her personal space.
On the first plane, it was a huge man in front of me who was lying on me.
Well, I think any time you can improve your comfort on any airplane, it's really well worthwhile.
But others disagree.
I don't really think it's fair. The amount of money we pay for air flights right now, too, as well, is just kind of atrocious.
One passenger rights advocate says making tall passengers pay extra to get a seat that they will fit into amounts to discrimination.
Comfort is a choice. Accommodating your physical size is part of transporting a passenger. So the problem that I'm seeing here is that WestJet may not be providing necessary space for an average passenger.
He fears passengers who don't know their rights may just go along with it.
WestJet says anyone who requires additional considerations should call them when they book to make sure they're accommodated before arriving at the airport. Caroline Bargout, CBC News, Vancouver.
have a look at the long-range forecast. But first, Ashley, you're going to have a look at those interesting storms that are continuing to brew down south.
Yeah.
2 storms super close to each other.
Yeah, they're less than 900 kilometers away from each other. It's very rare to see storms this close, but I just wanted to show both of them to you. So this is Hurricane Umberto. That's the bigger of the 2 storms there. And then what is Tropical Storm Imelda at the moment. That's actually expected to strengthen as we head through the night tonight. So that's Imelda there, and that's Umberto. So Umberto's a Category 4 hurricane at the moment and is expected to make a turn north and then eventually to the east as we head through the overnight, or rather through the week, which is actually going to spare Bermuda at this point. But right now, Category 4, top winds 270 kilometers per hour, and that will stay well south of us. We don't have to worry about that storm. And then we've got Imelda here, back to just off the coast of Florida there at the moment. Tropical Storm Imelda, expected to become a Category 1 hurricane as we head through the overnight tonight. And then this one has its sights on Bermuda, unfortunately, with a hurricane watch already in effect. But that will happen as we head into Wednesday and into Thursday. But again, taking that turn. Now, these storms typically, if they're that close together, could have an effect on one another. But in this case, one storm, obviously much stronger than the other. So it's not having too much an effect in it. But we will see that turn, which is very good news for the coast of the U.S. To not see very many effects from that other than some high seas over the next little bit. Our forecast, we are going to stay well out of that, although temperatures are going to be cool as we head into Wednesday. For most of us, firmly into the single digits. West coast, south coast may see those temperatures about 10 to 13 degrees, but overall that northerly flow, unsettled weather rather, will continue with the chances of some showers in the mix there as well. Same thing will happen as we head into Thursday, although temperatures will be somewhere between 8 to 10 degrees for most areas. A little warmer for Happy Valley, Goose Bay and the west coast, western portion of Labrador, but only about 11 or 12 degrees, and then the south coast as well. You're away from that onshore flow, so your temperatures will be just a tad warmer. We will see a warm up though as we get towards the weekend. Temperatures will be back into the teens where we should be sitting this time of year, 15 to 17 degrees with some sunshine in the forecast there. Central and western Newfoundland, you are also looking at a warm up. We could even reach the 20-degree mark through central as we head through Saturday. So a nice looking weekend at this point. And then for Labrador overall, you're actually going to see your temperatures warm up as well to the teens. That's well above where you should be sitting this time of year at 18 degrees for eastern Labrador, and even west, you're looking at your high near 16 degrees for Friday. Your temperatures will cool down though as we head into the weekend, around 12 to 13 degrees with some rain. Our photo of the day taken in Kings Point, a beautiful sunrise. My goodness, they've been gorgeous lately, and you have been sending them lots of sunrise photos. Thank you, Joyce, for that photo. And if you have any that you would like to share with us, send them in. We love to see them. You can send them to my Facebook page or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
That is beautiful, Joyce. Thank you so much for that. And some nice temperatures coming for the first week of October.
Yeah, we'll start
double digits.
Start cool, and then weekend will be beautiful.
Yeah, perfect time for the warmer weather to hit.
That's right.
All right, well, that's it for us on this Monday. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening